Listen, Elinor, do you hear that?
I hear water, Boone.
Yeah. My ranch land is over part of the Ogallala Aquifer in the Texas. Supreme Court ruled that I have sovereignty to use my groundwater however I want.
I can see how you would feel that way, but groundwater is a common pool resource. Unlike pure public goods, common pool resources face problems of overuse because they are subtractable.
How do you mean, subtractable?
When Garrett Hardin originally wrote The Tragedy of the Commons in 1968, he gave the example of a pasture. A pasture can sustain only so many cattle. If we all place the maximum number of cattle on it, it will be overexploited and the grass will not grow back. We can subtract or use the pasture, but we cannot make the pasture contain more grass than the maximum. Common property regimes, like a meadow or groundwater, typically function at a local level to prevent the overexploitation of a resource system from which fringe units can be extracted.
Well, I look at Lake Meredith, I look at that lake, and it's damn near gone. I sold my rights to the Canadian River Municipal Water Authority. Water rights for about 433,000 acres in the Panhandle. The water is staying up here. I say that sincerely. The water is where it's supposed to be.
It is predicted that climate change will affect how the underground aquifers will be recharged differently. And then what?
Just like the oil peak, there could be a groundwater peak.
That is exactly what I am saying. This is the concern. Having open access to commons, such as the Ogallala Aquifer, is a struggle, but it can be done. Water shares a lot of characteristics with oil. Both have finite quantities at the local level, and there is no substitute for water like there is for oil. We need to create rules and enforce them. Without rules, we could have a race to the pumps.
Washington, D.C. is absolutely the saddest place to go and try to get something done. I don't think that is a place to get rules written.
Congress frequently recommends new legislation to deal with natural resource issues, but the laws already in existence are enforced only erratically.
This sounds like something we have concerns about in the oil drilling industry. We work together to conserve petroleum resources using the institution of unitization.
We could apply unitization to groundwater.
Unitization has been applied by the oil and gas industry for 100 years and embraces the transdisciplinary paradigm. Unitization provides a framework to address many other situations and benefits with aquifers.
Unitization is only one tool in implementing the law of transboundary aquifers, but it is a start toward equitable and reasonable of groundwater to meet existing needs and also needs of future generations.
That's true, because transdisciplinary addresses several levels of reality, starting with what exists, which incorporates the fields of study such as geology and economics, moving toward to what we are capable of that focus on the fields of engineering and commerce. The third level of transdisciplinary addresses what we want to do through planning, law, and policy. Finally, the top level refers to what we must do based on values, ethics, and philosophy.
Without unitized operation of a water reservoir, competitive drilling and production could result in physical damage to the pool and reservoir, with each owner drilling more and pumping faster than their neighbor. By just focusing on present needs, we miss an opportunity to shape the future of natural resource use.
I've been an oil man my whole life, but whether it is oil or water, this is one emergency we can't just drill our way out of. It may leave the country at risk. This is why I want to invest in alternative energy and look for other ways to enhance U.S. energy security and stability.
The problem is if I harvest sustainably and you don't, I'm a sucker. Or in this case, if I use water sustainably and you don't. However, if we enhance the way of people organizing and match the rules to the way the ecosystems that we are trying to live within it is possible we can learn to trust one another.
So you are saying we can meet this needs by establishing rules at the local or state level?
We have modeled the impact of individual actions on climate change incorrectly and need to change the way we think about this problem. We have a much greater possibility of impacting global change problems. If we start locally, we need to change the way we think about common pool resources, developing local understanding of the diversity and complexity of the situation, and begin to use them differently than we do now. If we are actually going to protect biodiversity, we need local knowledge of local ecology and systems. Those systems have to be complex. My motto is build enough diversity to cope with the diversity of the world. Allow multi-tier systems. We can't have a uniform top-down panacea to cure everything. We need states involved to legislate field exploitation agreements for reservoirs, such as the Ogallala Aquifer, and a unitization agreement needs to be developed.
Can we do this?
Not only can we must. Groundwater is one of the most extensively exploited resources in the world. Its overuse completely changes the hydrologic cycle.
So what about privatization? People say water is a lot like air. Do you charge for air? Course not. Then you shouldn't charge for water. Well, okay, watch what happens. You won't have any water.
Having rights doesn't mean you have a right to clear an entire forest or drain an entire aquifer. But if you have no rights, why do you have any interest in protecting anything at all? Private ownership and rights of citizens helps everyone have a stake in the commons.
I'm frequently accused of not caring about the environment because I value individual rights.
There is no all or nothing answer. What seems to work best is an individual plan based on local needs. Local water masters or common unit operators can work with individual unit owners that use that aquifer.
What happens if we don't do this, Elinor?
Like the REM song says, it's the end of the world as we know it.
That would mean no more football. That would be tragic. I think I'd rather get richer off natural resources.
And I want another Nobel Prize.